The pick is in.
The Chicago Bulls have made a selection in the 2025 NBA Draft. I'm Doug Branson, joined now by host of Locked On Bulls, Haize, and the Chicago Bulls have selected Noa Essengue with the 12th pick. Haize, your reaction to taking the first international player in this year's draft, someone very toolsy, got some defensive upside. What do you think about Noa Essengue to the Bulls?
I like him as a raw prospect with a lot of upside. It just feels like to me that this is the Bulls again going upside where they had some players that made more sense to what they need right now. But we knew the Bulls coming into this draft were kind of focused more so on ceiling and getting the player that they feel like can be the best player available long term. So I like Essengue. I like what he can do with Modest Buzelis being eventually the 3-4 combo. I think is going to be the goal here, and that's where the NBA is kind of going to switchable forwards that both can be toolsy and do a little bit of everything, and that could be what they have here long term. They're just going to have to really invest in polishing that potential that Essengue has.
Are you surprised they go Essengue here? Someone that's not very physically imposing. When there was a lot of size left on the board. Derek Queen had not been drafted to that point. Are you surprised they didn't go with a little more beef in Chicago?
I am. The center position has been one that we know we have to address for quite a while now. And I think with Sorber, Queen, all on the board, Danny Wolf, I think may still be on the board as we're having this conversation. But those guys, to leave them on the board at a position of need is a little bit of a question for me. Now, I know that those guys may not have the potential high ceiling like Essengue, but one of the things I had been talking about is that the Bulls have to consider the floor. And that's something that we haven't done a really good job at, is looking at the potential floor of a player. And players like Queen, players like Sorber, I think, have way higher floors, and they could have been more what the Bulls need right now. And that did surprise me.
How do you think they're going to manage his development early on in his rookie season? Do you think they will give him Essengue? Do you think they'll give him immediate minutes, or do you think they're going to let him develop in the G League or possibly overseas?
I see G League minutes coming for him. The Bulls have never really been a team that really has played rookies early on. Now, if he comes in with a switchable defense, if that's more advanced than what they are projecting to be, I do see him getting on the court. But I think he's going to start off in the G League quite a bit, to be honest. And yeah, if any Bulls fans are expecting to see Essengue at the season start, you may want to start tempering those expectations a little bit.
You mentioned early on in the interview, how he's going to pair with another pick that they made last year in Matas Buzelis. When you take those picks, when you zoom out and you look at both of those picks, what does it tell you about what Chicago is trying to do in the short term and the long term?
I think it means that they're trying to catch up with the modern NBA. It feels like they are trying to get to the place where they have, like I said, these interchangeable forwards. Think of like Boston. I'm not saying they could reach that level, but like forwards that can do a little bit of everything. It's just they still have things that they need to solidify. We don't know if Kobe and Giddey are going to work long term together. But I think this pick is more so them looking at their pick last year in Buzelis and saying, hey, we may have gotten his pairing there at the 3-4 matchup, which I'm not too mad at if it works out. But that's the big question here. Having Dan Craig and Wes Unseld as two assistants on our bench who have, they've developed players like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., Bam Adebayo, those type of players. Maybe, they're relying on that to help his development along, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of minutes right away.
All right, you can catch Haize on Locked On Bulls. Of course, you can also catch him on Locked On NBA, where he's my co-host. So I'm sure we will be talking about this pick as well as all the other picks tomorrow on Locked On NBA. For more coverage of Noa Essengue, you can find Haize and his co-host Pat, the designer, on Locked On Bulls on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.